Joining me now is Chesley Maddox-Dorsey, the Chief Executive Officer of the American Urban Radio Networks, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Reverend Sharpton, for having me.
First, I want to congratulate you and your organization on a half a century of important work. We're going to talk about that more. But I'm curious about your reaction to the historic indictment of the former President Donald Trump.
Well, it's really a sad day when we get to this point, right? This is really unprecedented and quite shocking that we've led our democracy down this path, or allowed him to lead our democracy down this path. So it's a tense time for all of us, but have no fear. We're going to cover it as we always have. With the truth.
Now, former President Trump has a long history of bullying and press and inspiring his supporters to do the same, especially journalists of color. I remember back in 2018 when Trump attacked April Ryan, who at the time was your White House bureau chief and had been there many years, calling her, quote, nasty and a loser, and threatening to revoke her White House press credentials. We are seeing something similar with his attack on Alvin Bragg. Trump doesn't like anyone who dares to hold him into account, but he seems to have a special level of contempt if they're black or brown. Your thoughts?
I think that's absolutely true. But, you know, our black journalists, including the courageous April Ryan, have dealt with that their entire careers. In fact, that's one of the reasons they went into journalism, is to be able to tell the truth and tell these stories. I mean, back from when Ida B. Wells was doing that all the way through Alice Dunnigan. This is a constant barrage and attack that we have had to face. But it has not stopped us. In fact, I think it's made us stronger and more committed to the process.
Trump has also had a record of attacking women. He called Stormy Daniels horse-faced throughout the hush money investigation. Trump also has a long list of nicknames for New York Attorney General Letitia James, calling her Pigaboo, Pickaboo, Peekaboo, a raging maniac, a leftist nut job. And now we just celebrated Women's History Month, and I know you are committed to elevating female journalists, and specifically women of color. How should we be responding to Trump's boorish behavior?
Well, we have, you know, fortunately for the American Urban Radio Networks, we have the support of Black community and fair-minded people everywhere, which is a larger number than any other group, by the way. So we don't really subscribe to nonsense. We just do our work, elevate our people, elevate our communities, and hope that we get the right results with fair-minded people, which, again, is the majority of people in this country. This is a little bit of a unfortunate sideshow for us, but it just makes us more committed, and it tells us where our North Star is.
Now, let's talk about the American Urban Radio Network, which has brought the news to Black America for half a century. I also am a radio guy. I do commentaries on the network. I have my own radio shows, 16 on-air hours each week. And in commemoration of this anniversary, can you speak to the impact that AURN has made?
Thank you. So in 1973, when Sid Small and Gene Jackson formed this network, we had 80 affiliates. It was called National Black Network at the time. And I might add, 1973 was a very momentous year. That was the year of Roe v. Wade. That's the year we pulled out of Vietnam. And that's also the year that the Justice Department filed a suit against one of the Trump organizations for racial discrimination under the Fair Housing Act. And we would have reported on all of those things from a perspective and a level of interest for African Americans. Fast forward, or probably not a fast forward, but 50 long years later, we have grown to the point where we are the #1 Nielsen-rated network targeting African Americans. We have 40 million weekly listeners and 6,000 affiliates. So wow. It's been a long journey and a long process, but that's come a long way. And in celebration of Women's History Month, though, we're going to be doing we have announced some interesting things. We're doing a podcast on Bessie Coleman, again, just elevating another female hero. course, you know, we have the 50th anniversary of hip hop coming up right around the corner.
All right.
But we're doing more with gaming. And so we're continuing to expand because our North Star is our community and the connection we have with our community. And that's what propels us, not any of the other sideshow stuff.
Well, we congratulate you and the whole team there, Chesley Maddox-Dorsey. Happy anniversary to AURN, and thank you for being with us. My final thoughts after the break.